Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really.
Pardon the Politics podcast. So we bring that topic up to you, and each one of us has something that we want to just shine a little light on and let you guys know what's going on in our political landscape. So I believe, brother man, actually, you know what? Since I'm going, I'll go ahead and give my pickle of the week. How about that?
Okay, there you go.
So, I mean, excuse me, my spotlight of the week. Y'all forgive me. I apologize. I'm fumbling over my words. So, my spotlight of the week, man, it's been something I think everybody has been aware of. That's been going on. It sounds like it's gonna be something small at first, but it's pretty big. If you guys been watching the news, you've seen this beautiful reflecting pool that we have in DC. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, so beautiful.
Oh,
So beautiful.
the most beautiful.
The most beautiful
the
I've
most
ever seen,
beautiful.
brother. So the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is in DC. And it's one of the most symbolic pieces of America in America. It apparently is in pretty rough shape again. After the renovation that
Already?
brother already 14 million dollars later, actually, to be exact. The pool has been painted blue, refilled, and promoted as part of making the National Mall look better ahead of America's 250th birthday. But almost immediately, the water started turning green from algae. The paint looked uneven, and now there are reports of it being drained again for repairs. And if you've seen videos that people have actually walked by and actually been able to pull up some of the blue paint that has been coming up. Even one gentleman who was an Olympian was arrested this past week they accused him of vandalizing the pool. And President Trump has even tweeted saying that the pool is going to be repaired due to serious and severe vandalism that has taken place. Sir, no, nobody vandalized. If anybody vandalized it, it was whoever you paid that company for that buddy of yours that painted that pool, that terrible Sherman Williams paint that won't meant to be on the bottom of that pool. That's who vandalized it, the people who painted it. So, people are saying, you may just say for my spotlight that, man, it's just a pool, but that is exactly why it matters. Because it's not just any pool, it's the reflecting pool. It sits between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument, and it is tied to some of the most powerful images in American history: civil rights, national grief, protests, patriotism, and the idea that America should be able to look at itself honestly. And right now, what is it reflecting? A rush paint job, a big price tag, political finger pointing, accusations of vandalism, algae growing through the image of what's supposed to look clean, bright, and patriotic. And I'm bringing this as my spotlight because that pool is a reflection of what America is right now.
Mm.
We keep trying to paint over problems instead of fixing what is underneath. We want the surface to look beautiful, but the foundation is still cracked. We want the picture to be perfect for the celebration, but the water underneath is telling the truth. This country loves symbolism. We love flags, monuments, ceremonies, speeches, military flyovers, and patriotic colors. But sometimes we focus so much on the presentation of America that we ignore the condition of America. And that is what this reflecting pool story feels like. You can't paint over your way out of neglect. You can't pressure wash your way out of dysfunction. You can't renovate the symbol while ignoring the substance. So, what that pool is reflecting is the state of our politics, the state of America. So, maybe the question is not just what happened to the pool. Maybe the real question is what happened to us? How do we as a country get to this point where our image matters more than our integrity? Where the paint matters more than the plumbing, where the celebration matters more than the condition of the people living under the flag. It shows us that the country that keeps spending big money to look restored is forgetting that all the while the same problems are on the bottom and they're going to continue to rise to the surface. $14 million wasted to protect an image rather than servicing, fixing, restoring the foundation. Maybe if you take care of that, the reflection pool will look like what America's supposed to look like, and not its current condition of what it looks like today. So that's my spotlight of the week. Little mirror check, little heart check, little self-examination.
Now, at this time, I would ask everybody to stand as we pass the collection plate. That boy got in his bag, well, I tell you. And it's crazy. I was, I think it was on Twitter, and an expert, was critiquing the painting of the bottom of the pool, because one of the things that Trump liked to quip about in regards to the pool was it was leaking. And he said that it wasn't leaking. It was actually a natural filtration process that the water would seep through to keep, because technically it's a pool of standing water. And if you paid attention to biology class, standing water will form algae in the bacteria. Well, this natural filtration process of the water leaking out and then putting more water in was the flowing of the water. So it minimized the amount of algae that would grow in the reflecting pool. Furthermore, when you put that coat of paint on there,
you stop the leaking.
You stop the leaking.
Sealed it
Stop
up.
the leaking. You saw what we got. And poor Plucky Duck.
R.I.P. Plucky.
R.I.P. Plucky Duck. So yeah, man, that you were spot on. Where it is a true reflection of where we are currently as a country. Great word,
we gotta
brother.
waste more money. We gotta waste more money.
Waste more money. Waste more. Wait. Again,
and I guarantee you, it's gonna look worse.
It's gonna look worse because we got it for improved.
We gotta get it before 250. So what is it, about 2 weeks?
We got it for a pool, but can't put no little kiddie pool at the daycare and send these children to daycare.
Bro,
shaking my head.
I was just weakened when they put the hydrogen peroxide in, and I said, "You do know what that does to paint, right?"
The answer to that is no. They had
no idea.
Bro, how many people didn't pay attention in biology, Chuck?
Bro, slew. Bro,
well, when you hire a contractor
who's a convicted felon,
I won't even say because it's the convicted felon who has never done a job of that size on that structure, of that scale.
They got to be
have processes. We have processes, and had you followed the process, no bid contracts. No bid contracts are not a part of the process,
bro.
But what do we know?
Well, I will pass the spotlight baton to my brother Chuck.
Yes, sir.
His spotlight for the week.
My spotlight for the week. Can y'all see that?
Yes, sir. ATL. We are Atlanta.
We are Atlanta. That is my FIFA 2026 scarf. Shout out to the World Cup. It's been amazing. That is not my spotlight, though. My spotlight is on Georgia. This past week, we had our runoff elections for the Republican nominee for governor, as well as the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate seat, and a few others in this space. Excuse me. And to the shock of some people, Rick Jackson defeated Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for the Republican nomination. Rick Jackson, the billionaire, who spent $100 million of his own money in his campaign. I'm sorry, y'all. Rick Jackson, who came out with an ad featuring his grandchildren. And the ad had his grandchildren sitting on the couch with him. And I'll say it. I'm assuming those are his grandchildren. At first, I thought it might have been his grandchildren's friends, because there's two kids who have some Asian descent in their bloodline who are also on the couch. And the question is asked, Grandpa, why do you look so mean in your ad? And we all know what ad they're referencing. The one where he said, either you're going to be deported or disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, we're going to put a truck in your ad and we're going to dress you up. And he referenced this ad in his victory speech, talking about how his grandchildren gave him the greatest ad ever because they had to soften up his appearance after such a vitriol and vile ad. I don't care who you are. We were a proper people when our politicians had some level of decorum. Even in the mudslinging, there was a level that you could not cross.
Bare minimums.
Like you're talking about offing people in a political ad for the highest seat in the state of Georgia. Think about that. So now we have Rick Jackson versus Keisha Lance Bottoms, the former mayor of Atlanta, who has the chance to not only be the first Black woman to be the governor, but she can be the first Black woman to be a governor of a state in the entire U.S. Then you have Mike Collins, who defeated Derek Dooley, let me go back to governor real quick. It was very interesting. Burt Jones had Trump's endorsement. And at the 11th hour, Burt Jones got the endorsement of Brian Kemp, who is the current sitting governor, although he is buddy with Rick Jackson. So that was very interesting. As we move to the U.S. Senate seat, that is going to be very vital and very important. Mike Collins, who has his own malfeasance about himself and certain ethics questions, won the nomination over Derek Dooley, Derek Dooley had Brian Kemp's endorsement. Mike Collins had Donald Trump's endorsement. And he will be going up against Jon Ossoff. So it will be a very interesting race. Jon Ossoff is gaining a lot of momentum outside of just the Senate seat, where some are looking at him for the possible 2028 nomination. I say get your hands off of him and leave him alone, because he's more valuable in that Senate seat versus looking to be the 2028 nominee, unless Keisha wins.
Yep. If
Keisha wins, she gets to appoint whoever fills that seat until the term is up. Then that's a different conversation. There are other positions on the state level that were important. Like 2 state senators won their runoff for the Democratic and Republican side, who are going up for lieutenant governor. But what also happened this past week that was very, very interesting in the state of Georgia is the state GOP told Brian Kemp they would not, and I repeat, they would not consider doing redistricting of the lines. Brian Kemp, if many of you remember, stated that after the Supreme Court ruling, he wasn't going to call for a session immediately to redraw the lines because we were so close to our primary elections, and so it will push that further down the road for 2028. Well, that further down the road came, and he called a special session, and the Republicans was like, "Hold up, wait a minute,
something ain't right here.
Something ain't right here." So they cited several things. Number one, some of them, and I'll say some, saw that redistricting wasn't right. It's probably a small percentage, but it was some of them who said that. Then they had some who said, you're talking about holding this special session right around runoffs. We still got November coming. And the redistricting does not go into effect until the time for 2028. So if we do this now, you putting us in a very precarious situation going into the general election. And then some, of course, follow the money, saying it's too expensive. Will it really will it really be worth it to redistrict? Because as stated before, outside of Savannah, Columbus, and Atlanta, the state is pretty red. And when I say Atlanta in the metro area, you have some pockets here and there that pop up blue, but overall, those are the three main areas. And they may be able to do something in the Savannah, Columbus area. They really would be shooting themselves in the foot trying to break up the Atlanta metro area. So we've told you before, in retrospect, when you try to redistrict and break down these lines even more, you start watering down your power. So there was some sensibility for whatever each individual person came to the conclusion, but overall, they said, no, we're going to leave this redistricting alone. And I think I don't want to call, well, I guess he is a lame duck because he's coming to the end of his term. He really had no bite to that bark of the redistricting. And they sent a letter back to him saying, nah, bro, you can keep that. We're not moving in that direction. So it's a very interesting time in this election period for Georgia. I can't say that I'm enthusiastic about the political ads that's about to come, because if you were here, and I've even brought it up here, Rick Jackson has his own money, and he flooded television with ads left and right, flooded any area that he could have an ad pop up, it was there. So there's a challenge ahead of Keisha, and we're going to see if she's up to the challenge, because I'm going to be honest with you. If he's elected, I'm scared. That's another billionaire holding the highest seat. And we see how that's going right now for the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's my
It's
spotlight.
going well, man. Everything's good.
It's excellent. For his pockets.
Perfect. Some might say.
All right. Well, Brother Manny, you're left on the spotlight, brother. What do you have?
Yeah. So I'm here to talk about the court case that was decided on the Supreme Court case that was decided on the 18th of last week. And that is TM versus the University of Maryland Medical System Corporation. And you're like, oh, what happened? We didn't really hear a lot about this. Well, basically, this was I won't say a landmark decision, but it was a pretty important decision that basically said, if you lose in state court, even if what you lost was a settlement that you got forced into, and you're still appealing that loss in the state court system, you cannot go and ask a federal judge to redo it at the same time. Basically saying that you had to figure out your case at the state level and then let it flow up. So one case at a time, one court at a time. So what happened? So the plaintiff here, who goes by TM, who has a gluten who says she has a gluten ingestion issue that can cause psychotic episodes. She ends up in the hospital, and after some consulting and a hearing, she is involuntarily committed over both her and her father's objections. She spent about 3 months in a facility with her treating psychiatrist and the medical. They saw it and got an approval to force her to take injections. Independent psychiatrist later on then said she no longer needs inpatient care. TM and the hospital, they work together. They get her, they negotiate her release, and the state enters it as a consent order. The new psychiatrist tells her to stay on her meds, and they drop all the other claims. So she ends up suing. She sues in federal court, calling the consent order unconstitutional, and that she was basically forced to sign it under stress. In that same time span, The plaintiff separately appealed that same consent order in a Maryland State Appellate Court, and that's where it still sits right now from the appellate side. In July of 2024, a federal court dismisses her federal suit on its own cognitive, citing Rooker-Feldman. In June of 2025, the Fourth Circuit affirms the Rooker-Feldman bar of the suit, but actually vacates the with prejudice part. So if something's vacated with prejudice, it can't come up in any capacity, but they drop it. So from that, the plaintiff then petitions the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court argues to take it up. Well, on the 18th, a ruling came out. It was a 5-4 decision. And this is where things start getting a little bit interesting, because we know the makeup of our court and what we've seen happen over the last 4 years. In the majority opinion, and that was made up of Sotomayor, Alito, Kavanaugh, Ketanji Jackson, and Clarence Thomas voted in the majority. And writing in the dissent was Coney Barrett, John Roberts, Kagan, and Gorsuch. That's real strange for a lot of people. But I think the biggest thing that we can take from this piece and how they voted is with the Supreme Court, it's not always going to be a left versus right. And here we have institutionalists going against contextualists of the case. You know, the majority's instinct here was to really protect the boundaries of the state and federal courts, where the federal courts don't want to get involved if the state courts are still involved. Where on the dissenting part, the concern is really just the context of the case and looking at who this really benefits. Because in these situations, especially when you talk about, you know, average person suing a major organizations have the money. Out. Yeah, they have the money, they have the lawyers. We can take this for years. So it was really a concern that, are we shifting this? You know, her being forced to sign an order to get out of the hospital, it is, you know, forcing her to do this. Like, she's not really making this of her own volition, and it could produce, and as we saw in this situation, it can force people to make decisions and not be able to get out of them. We're not just talking about, you know, the medical case we're seeing here. If you have a custody fight, if there's an eviction, or in this case, we're talking about someone's psychiatric condition that has forced this situation. If you're in a state court and you're fighting it through the state court, no matter what the court is, you got to get it through the state. And that is a financial kind of burden on most people, especially if you're trying to figure all this out. I think one of the benefits TM had is Elizabeth Prelogar. She was the former U.S. Solicitor General under the Biden administration, picked up the case pro bono. It's been her first case since leaving the government, and she wasn't even the original lawyer. So I think this is really interesting on two standpoints. One, you have a situation where you have the Supreme Court still showing that they're reading, that they're digging into cases, and this isn't always going to be a left and right thing. And I think that listeners at home, general public, you should feel good about that. The downside of that is that it sounds like, for me, and I'm not a lawyer, that there is a chance that her constitutional protections were violated here. And to be able to not challenge the fact that her constitutional rights had been impacted by this can be problematic long term, not only in this case, but other cases, thus making it more expensive to find different ways to fight this battle. So my spotlight is really not only about how we still need to watch the situations and how every court case that the Supreme Court judges on matters, even if it's not making major news rounds. But the other part of it is really the focus on that our Supreme Court is still working in some ways, where it's focusing on what it is and what they're signing and what's meant by here. And that you can have situations where you have Ketanji Brown and Clarence Thomas on the same side of an issue. And that is my spotlight of the week.
You know, I love that this was done on an impartial basis,
Yeah.
as far as that's what I want for my Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, regardless of, what side you're on, that's fine. But let's have a nonpartisan decision making process. Simple as that, man.
Yeah. I mean, 9 justices, 1 doctrine, and this was really just a vote that the court doesn't always split to go where we've, as the American public, have been trained to expect it to go.
Yeah.
Well, to our listeners, we've reached the end of this episode. So we appreciate you lending us your ear for the duration of this episode. As always, we hope that this episode finds you in the best place possible. And if don't nobody love you, just know the boys here at the pod, we love you. We love you. Fellas, all hearts and minds clear?
I would be remiss if we did not get out of here and congratulate the Carolina Hurricanes on becoming the 2026 Stanley Cup champions. By eliminating the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games.
Very much so. Very much so.
Shout out to the home state for bringing the ship home. And I don't know if y'all seen the videos from New York when they had their rally, but boy, New York, they don't need to win another championship for
1,000 years, a millennium. Y'all don't know how to act.
Niggas don't know how to act, boy.
At all.
That was so foolish. New York is a wild place, bro. It's a wild place. But shout out to New York.
Before we go, also the U.S. men's national team.
Yes, sir.
The World Cup overall, but the U.S. men's national team taking care of business, looking very unfamiliar to us.
Bro, I was about to say very unfamiliar. I don't know what I'm seeing.
I don't know, but I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. So
yes,
shout out to them. Shout out to the African nations that are showing out. Shout out to Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Cabo Verde, and the different. This has been a very exhilarating World Cup where we had our apprehensions. As we talked about at the beginning, the experience of those coming over and and encountering the delicacies of the U.S., but the games have been fantastic.
Yeah.
If you don't know, my good brother JEEZY'S and myself are very avid WNBA supporters and fans. Manny jumps in and has some I won't call him a fan, but he has some with the WNBA. But from the spectrum of JEEZY'S and myself, we are fans of the game, even down to the college game for the women. And I must say, for myself, the WNBA, the World Cup has been so exciting. I've kind of neglected the WNBA to start their season, well, during this stretch, with the games on, because it's 3-4 games a day, and just it's been fantastic. But I just want to give them a shout out, especially Team USA, and let's see how they continue to progress in the tournament, man. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, man. I hope they keep it up. It's definitely unfamiliar territory for watching. We typically get this excitement from the women's team, but having the men look, I mean, day and night in comparison to what we've seen in previous years. I hope it keeps going because the competition certainly will be tough going forward. So.
Oh, and finally, nobody's Fan Fest is rocking like Atlanta's Fan Fest. I'm just gonna say the city's on fire.
Shout out to the ATL. So, to our listeners, that is our episode. Like, share, follow, subscribe, all of that. If you're already doing it, fine. You reach one, teach one. Get somebody, bring a friend. We got wings, we got drink in the bag. Make yourself at home, get comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. If there's anything that our listeners like want to hear from us, any takes you want to hear from us, hit us up on our social media, DM us, email us, whatever. Reach out to us and say, hey, look, I want to know what Partner Politics thinks about this, and we'll do our best to do so. So please reach out. We love to hear from our fans, our listeners, those and our haters too. We got some haters out there too. So
Oh, yeah.
that's fine too.
I was
Got
gonna bring that up. Yes, sir. I was gonna bring that up. Yo, all
We-
y'all got
we-
want to
we-
pop
we got
off
some
on that
haters.
last videos and last clip. I'm down for some
Yeah.
argument and debate. I'm down. I'm down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we love it all. So continue to share, continue to support, and we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of Partner Politics Podcast. So take care, world.
Peace.
Hello, world. Hello, world. Hello. Welcome to Part in the Politics Podcast.
We back. I'm back. Really? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.